Shining Souls, and welcome to Soul of Quran's weekly forecast. My name is Dorothy Taylor. I'm your astrologer, and boy, do we have some exciting aspects this week. So the first thing that that I noticed when I looked at this chart is the number of planets that are going to be opposing, or the focus of this opposition that Mercury, the Sun, and the Sun are making to Pluto. So Mercury here is an exact opposition to Pluto on Monday. The weekend before this will be a little tense, I should say, because the moon was over the weekend is here acting with Pluto and uh, Saturn, fresh off of that super full moon opposition that we had. So right now the moon is in Cancer, and it is also at a sextile to Pluto. So here, this is a sextile, and it is at a trine to Mercury and the Sun. So the moon this week, it moves pretty fast. The moon moves fast. It moves through a sun in two to 2.5 days, and it's going to make several alignments and be involved in this opposition of the Sun and Mercury from different perspectives. In this perspective, it's almost as if it's working more to in a more diplomatic way to pass the energy, or to help express the energy of both planets. And while Mercury is in Cancer, fine and good. We get this idea that we can talk about our emotions, and our emotions are what are driving the conversation. It's in response, though, to something that's happening out here in Capricorn. So, this moon is feeling both energies in a very direct way, and the energy is flowing freely. That is not to say it's positive or negative, just flowing freely. So emotions are flowing freely. And here on Monday, we see that flowing freely. Venus, you lucky Cancers, is moving into your sign, and on Monday it is in your sign. It moved in there overnight, and so you guys are going to get a little bit of uh, a soothing balm in this situation. You're going to be able to feel those emotions in a way that add to your sense of emotional safety and security. Now, it may be because Venus goes after something she wants. Just because Venus is sweet and demure doesn't mean that that the energy of Venus cannot attract or go after what she wants. But what she's trying to do in this place is attract nurturing and caring, which is kind of interesting with this dynamic of the cold outer world reality and our soft underbelly emotional stability inner world. And this is where this opposition comes in, and why it is so important this week, and not just this week, but for the rest of the year. It's kind of setting a tone for the rest of the year. So do think about how you go forward. So with Venus here in Cancer, we are going to be able to feel a little bit differently than just now with Mercury only in Cancer. Mercury kind of gives voice. It brings to our mind our perceptions. We gain understanding where Mercury is located, and Mercury has been in Cancer for the last several weeks. And so he's right now, he just has passed the Sun. So instead of being behind this, what the Sun is focusing his energy out on, Mercury has now gone past it. So we now know that this opposition is going to give us some information. We're going to get some information coming out of this week that will be important to us. And there's nothing that Mercury feels like he's learned all he needs to learn about this situation, and so he's going out and telling people about the situation. So he will be in Leo here, the heralder, the creative self-expression, creative self-identity. And so Mercury is going to go out and talk about all of his experience really for the last 6 months, and give us some understanding of what has been going on, what is going on, and how this relates to our ability to express who we are. Um, we know that resources are becoming an issue, and have been. And Mars is addressing that issue. Mars is out here in Taurus, um, getting a little aggressive about, a little assertive in his demands for resources. For instance, inflation has gone up um, a significant amount, yet pay has not. So everything is costing us more, only we are only bringing in the same amount we were before. And so there's some situation that needs to be addressed with resources and what we value. We're making decisions too. We value certain things over others, and so we're compromising on those things, and we're going to be more we're going to move more towards things that we value more, and let go of things that we don't value as much. And this has been going on for a while, so we are adjusting to it, although there is a point where um, depending on your level of income, there is no way to balance the books, so to speak. So pay attention to how you're feeling about your resources. Um, have self confidence. Ask for what you need. If you need to accept help from someone else, do that, please. There are plenty of resources. We just need to find them and use them in the appropriate manner. Um, so this when the sun opposes um, Pluto. So right now I've got the chart up for an exact alignment of an opposition between Mercury and Pluto. So the Mercury hits Pluto first and gets information about this um, duality of inner versus outer. And then the sun opposes Pluto. There we go. So here we're talking about the sun, and so Mercury's moved out away from the sun. Mercury is visiting Leo for a few weeks, and Mercury has a tail to tail, and so he's going to come out into Leo with information about this opposition, inner versus outer, how our world is transforming and how it affects us individually. At the same time, the moon has entered Aries here. When the moon entered Aries, it put the moon in a position of being, it's only a few degrees away from being at a total square with the other two planets. Let me bring that chart up so you can see that. Um, now let's square the sun because that happens. So here you can see this great big red triangle. And that red triangle is expressing the intensity of this week. This is the biggest alignment for the week, and it is probably one of the biggest alignments all year. And as far as that goes, we've had these several times. Pluto's been in Capricorn since 2008. So we've had this square between the Sun and Pluto at other times, but maybe not quite as exact as it is right now, because the Moon is in different placements each time that the Sun and Pluto square off. The Moon is going to act as a bit of an instigator to help address these issues. And we're having an emotional response to this opposition, in a way that we feel as if we need to act. And I, it's good for people to act on things that matter to them, and this is certainly going to be something that matters to you. Your inner versus outer world, and you're gonna feel triggered to act in some way. The trick is not to be impulsive in Aries. And when we mentioned this this alignment before, I mentioned there's a void of course moon at the same time that this is exact, just after this is exact. The moon makes no other alignments before moving into Taurus. And that void of course moon takes place from 10:18 to 12:22. This would be one of those times when that's important to know, because void of course moons are a time in the moon cycle when not making contact with any other planets, whatever you do, um, doesn't take effect. It's not, end up having to redo it. So even though this alignment, this square, third quarter square, is exact at 10:18, that actually, believe it or not, is the beginning of a void of course moon. And then the void of course moon moves into Taurus at 12:22 p.m. So at least for 2 hours, 2.5, give yourself time to decide what the appropriate action would be, what the appropriate response would be. And so when you do take action, it actually does give you the ability to influence the this great big opposition that we have here. And that's what the moon is offering, is a way to become active and influence um, the differences between the inner and outer worlds. Um, so Chiron is stationary, and Chiron stationary in Aries. That is a search for autonomy, a search for the ability to make our own decisions. And somehow, if you are an Aries, if you are any sign with Chiron in Aries, notice how you may be holding on to that wound that you have regarding your autonomy or your individuality, like a badge of honor. Notice how you're self-sabotaging the idea that you have the right to make your own decisions. Notice how the story turns inward, and now it's not about who or what externally caused this wound to be felt, but maybe internally there's some sort of secondary gain you are getting from maintaining the wound. So the Chiron is going to take an inner look at what autonomy means, what your individual will, what you feel, how you feel about yourself. And so when he does this, and he'll do it from July 19th to December 23rd, we're going to have some time to take a deep dive inside and look at what we may be um, doing that sabotages our ability to be autonomous and to act on our own will. Um, for instance, Aries is known for being impulsive. Maybe you have been impulsive in the past, and you have grown now and have a certain amount of self-discipline in making choices about what you do and when, and how productive it would be. Um, if we have that sort of if we've been slapped on the hand a couple of times because we were impulsive, then we would naturally kind of draw back and wonder why what the effort we do, doesn't turn fruitful. And so, Chiron is going to help you look at that and see what your will actually is, what you're reaching for, and hopefully make the actions you take really more fruitful. Um, Chiron can act as a funnel for the Aries energy, so it can bring it down um, to self-identifying what may be happening inside that's causing this wound to continue. So, a lot of alignments this week, but this would be the main um, signature alignment for this week and possibly one of the biggest alignments for the year. We have waited 6 months, um, which 6 months ago the sun was conjunct Pluto. Now the sun is opposite. So we've been on the 6 month cycle. I believe, yeah, February 22nd was when Pluto made his first exact conjunction or return to where Pluto was at in these where Pluto is in the Sibley chart. Um, June 11th was the second time, and then there will be another one later in the year. So, if you have any questions or if this astrology is hitting your chart and you want to know, and of course it is hitting everyone's chart, but if you in particular want to know how it's affecting your life, by all means, contact me on my website, solacaron.com. Leave me a message in the message boxes down below and I'll respond. And if you like the video, please like and subscribe, tell your friends, and we can get some balls rolling here. So thank you. I hope you have a good week, Shiny Soul. Bye bye.